Grow a Garden and its consequences have been a disaster for Robloxian kind. They've greatly increased the premium payouts of those who develop such games, but they have also created a lot of flop that would go on the front page. Holy shit, is that Harurara? The absolute GOAT? Get in here! You can do it! Yeah! Alright, anyway. Where was I? Oh, right, yeah. So let's talk. Oh my god, it's Mumbo! Get over here! Bring on the Brainrot! We got this! We're so back! Okay, now what was I on? Oh, right, yeah. Let's talk about it.
Grow a Garden is a game with a pretty simple concept. You grow a garden. The thing about it, though, is that it works off an artificial scarcity system where the seed vendor that helps you get your crop started doesn't actually have every seed in stock, but only has a few and some in limited stock. Once this stock runs out, there is a chance for it to appear restocked on a refresh, which means that once it's gone, and you have to wait once again for another refresh to be able to get that seed. I'll get into why this is important, why artificial scarcity is important utilizing other games later on in the video. So just keep that in mind, just because other games in this video will go further into it. So moving on with it for now, I wanted to also talk about the grows offline aspect of the game. To highlight, Grow a Garden advertises itself, as do many of these other games, as the game where your seeds grow offline. Which, knowing the fact that seeds take time to grow, it makes sense why they do. Now, it is very likely not the first game to do this, but it certainly was the first to popularize it for other games like Steal a Brainrot, Steal a Baddie, Build a Plane, and many others. I think this is very similar to, if not the exact same manner that many other idle games do, which is essentially one of the big mechanics of it is that you can literally not be on your keyboard or on the screen, and you can just leave and just wait for other things to happen whilst it accrues wealth. Games like AFK Arena, Cookie Clicker, Adventure Capitalist, and stuff. These games all are all part of that idle game genre, and they are very similar with the AFK or grows offline mechanics of Grow a Garden. As I initially thought about this game, this feature initially seems to hinder the profit of the game, right? I mean, the main way that many developers get money is shifting to premium payouts, meaning you'd really want premium players on for as long as possible to play within your game to get the maximum of that premium gives to developers in terms of premium payout. But much like many of these other AFK games, it actually doesn't hinder the profits of the game. For the most part, this feature is mainly for stuff to grow and grow a garden, but in other games like Steal a Brainrot, it's to amass wealth to be able to more easily afford higher cost Brainrot. The fact that you don't have to worry about your plants having to grow when you're online, or the stuff that people are able to steal not being able to be taken when offline, gives players a sense of security that when they'll come back, their money is safe, and what's more is that it'll be ready to collect and use. Which I think is why this offline feature is so popular within this trend of games. Because instead of just AFKing the whole day, being on the game, you don't have to be. And when you're active, you can actually do stuff with your money. The fact that it encourages active player interaction rather than just waiting for you to be AFK and amassing wealth that way. These games in part have shifted this genre of tycoons and simulators into being more active engagement when on, leading to more time being spent online and leaving the player significantly more satisfied, with the developer getting their cut in the form of premium payouts or game passes. Despite its simplicity, it's a big part of these games that ultimately leaves players being satisfied and wanting to play the game more than not. Alright, with that out of the way, let's talk about the artificial scarcity system, or what I like to call gambling. I think the biggest highlight as to what makes these games so popular is, I think, the gambling aspect of them. The fact that rarer seeds in Grow a Garden will almost always be out of stock is what keeps players coming back for more and waiting. Every 5 minutes, give or take, the vendor, as mentioned, will restock a random set of seeds, and once they're gone, they're gone. It brings about a scarcity which makes players want to stick around for more than 5 minutes for a chance of being able to get the next rare or legendary seed from the guy. And in other games like Steal a Brainrot or Steal a Baddie, which I know is a bit more of an antiquated game, but it still works, it's no different. Both these stealing games have a portal where several Brainrots of all different prices and rarities will come out and walk from one end to another, but every 15, 30 to 60 minutes there will be a guaranteed high rarity dropper, basically incentivizing people to stick around for the chance of being able to get that dropper in their base. In these games specifically, it's also incentivizing other players as well to steal from the person who has the rare droppers. This keeps people playing and active, especially kids as coming back from school. They can collect their money and immediately immediately go to buying these droppers, meaning that they'll likely have the funds to spend money on the Brainrot when the time comes. All while the developers gain money from premium or game passes that they have very much readily available, such as being able to bypass scanners or other benefits. It's a gamble on what you're gonna get on these servers, and whilst the growing offline mechanic was a simple one, this one borders the fine line between literally gambling and well, not. And the fact that it's so effective doesn't really surprise me.
Because gambling, or at least gambling-esque mechanics, have recently been increasing with a lot of popularity on Roblox.
But hey, you know what's also pretty unsurprising? That 90% of gamblers quit before making it big. So be that 10%, gang. Or you can just steal. Speaking of which, steal a Brainrot. This game, much like Grow a Garden, also allows players to gain wealth offline, but primarily advertises itself as a game where stealing is the main way to gain wealth. And the concept itself, and for the other games with a steal a blank title, are all pretty similar. You're given a base for which you can store your Brainrots, baddies, capybaras, umamasumes, I think even Limbus Company characters. You are initially given a generous loan by some higher deities to set your base up. Alongside this, you are outfitted with a weapon, being given a baseball bat or sometimes a hand smacker to dissuade any would-be thief from stealing your droppers, which in this situation we'll just say they're Brainrots or whatever they use in the game. And your base is also outfitted with lasers, making it so that you can lock down your base in case of anything happen. The catch to the lasers though, and the thing that keeps people active when playing the game, is that they're on a time limit. And once the time limit is up, if you're not at your base by the time it does, anyone can steal your droppers and put them in their base, making them their own. This wave of stealing games has gone on to make several more, which I'm showcasing and stating here, by which most of, if not all of them, have mainly spawned because of the small stealing mechanic that does exist from Grow a Garden, which Grow a Garden themselves have begun to kind of delve into that by releasing newer pets that actually can steal money, though I don't think it actually affects the players who are actively being stolen. And it's interesting because they're basically tycoon games, but give them significantly more replayability because of the whole stealing mechanic. It also makes it really fun because if you're on Instagram, you're gonna see a lot of people stealing from little kids and them screaming, which is certainly a thing to watch of all time. Well, kind of comparing these games to something more easily reproducible and something we have seen on Roblox being the tycoons, they always have weapons and stuff to hinder people's growth, but the issue with them is that it's really only temporary, and most of the time in these games, you have to go out of your way to mess with others. In short, with very simple tycoons that we have seen on Roblox, there's no reward for actually, taking people's stuff or just game ending them in any manner. It's just really if you want to mess with people. However, as these new games, which are essentially tycoon games, started actually promoting this particular manner of tycoon grow, and I could see them lasting more than just a fad, with the influence of the stealing mechanic becoming more common in future games. In addition, the thing that is mainly helping these games are the rebirth system that you have to get to advance in these games, with them requiring certain droppers to do so, which can also be seen as an incentive to steal, considering some of them rarely appear, meaning you either have to wait a long time, or you just have to steal. I'm not gonna lie, that's a pretty good incentive, and I think these games do them well because of the artificial scarcity of a specific dropper, eventually leading to people having to wait longer periods or stay longer periods of time, and in turn gives the developers more in premium payouts and game time. In that regard, the consequences of them is that should this trend continue, it basically means that there's just going to be a bunch of gambling. Honestly, I'm more so curious of what will happen as more games like these are released. This was just more of my own opinion, but the fact that these games have remained popular and above around 1 million players is no small feat. These games are still adding and doing more, and I mean, I didn't really cover how Grow a Garden has pets and dinosaurs now that they do certain things that help you attain more wealth, or how in a Steal A games, they have rebirths that kind of give you better weapons and gears that'll help you to take others' stuff more efficiently. But they kind of just seem like add-ons, and I think they will almost always be expanded as time goes on within the game. Hell, even as I'm editing this about the whole Grow a Garden and Steal a Blank game, a new genre, or at least a new subgenre, new style of game, being Build a Blank, especially something like Build a Plane games, have recently also been appearing, which also have that whole casual/offline aspect to them. To conclude my thoughts, considering that this is more akin to a rant, while these games may have started as simple tycoon experiences or even as jokes, I mean, I'm mainly just looking at Steel Brainrot at this point. They've evolved into something much more layered and addicting. The blend of offline progress, artificial scarcity, and competitive stealing have created a new formula that keeps players coming back and, more importantly, keeps them playing longer. Whether this trend sticks around or gets replaced by the next viral idea, it's clear that these games have tapped into a loop that's profitable, replayable, and strategic. But that's really it. Thanks so much for watching. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.